Is this live yet? Right, it's live. Great. All right, hello everyone. Hello Caroline Rees from New Zealand. Sakana Narayanan. Hello Dimitra P from Greece, 11 in the morning. And hello Shreskai from India. Hello everyone. So today I have some time. So I've decided to do a live sketch, like a live tutorial. And this is the reference photo that I will be using. If you guys want to follow along, you can actually download this photo from the video description below. This is actually a screenshot from the Google Street Map, the street view. And I have captured this, so you can actually choose different points of view, but I have already taken this screenshot though, so this is fixed. So the talking points for this tutorial will be to talk about one-point perspective, shadows, and simplifying. And if you guys have any questions, you can let me know in the chat box. I will be using digital drawing tools today. I'll be using the iPad Pro as well as the Apple Pencil. You guys can also use pen and ink with watercolor with your pen and paper. So the techniques will be applicable regardless of which media you are using. I wanted to use digital today because I don't want to wait for the watercolor to dry. I can apply colors straight away, digital colors straight away without waiting for the watercolor to dry. So this is going to cut down on a lot of excess waiting, unnecessary waiting. So for those of you who have just joined in, welcome. Whoa, it's 4 a.m. in USA right now. Right, so if you want to follow along, go download this reference photo. So the app that I will be using today will be Concepts. Oh, this was actually a draft that I was drawing earlier. It's just to test out this software. So let me just start from scratch. Or let me just show you some, let me just show you what's this first, what you can expect from this tutorial. So I will be drawing with ink lines, digital ink lines, and then coloring and talking about my drawing process. Basically talking about the thought process that goes into drawing this scene. This is the Abbaye Neumunster building in Luxembourg. So the Urban Sketches Luxembourg team had a virtual sketch crawl yesterday. It was actually supposed to be a live event. They actually sold tickets, but because of the pandemic, they had to cancel the whole thing, and this whole event became a virtual sketch crawl. So I sort of participated in the virtual sketch crawl and saw this very beautiful building with strong light and shadows. That's why I wanted to create this tutorial. So this is what you can expect later on, but I will be redrawing this from scratch to show you my thought process. Let me show you another sketch, which is actually just the same building, but this was drawn with a different style, like drawn with digital pencil and colored over with digital pastel. So different look from different media, but the concepts that you're about to learn can be applied to basically any tools. And if you guys have any questions, just you can ask me, because some of you may have the same questions as well. So this app that I'm using, this is Concepts. And one thing I like about Concepts is you can actually place several shortcuts here. So I'm going to choose a 10-point pixel brush and draw. Alright, the first thing before drawing is to, first of all, it's good to analyze the scene. Now this is a scene with a one-point perspective. All the diagonal lines are actually converging to one specific point. So when drawing a scene like this, where you see diagonal lines that seem to go in one direction towards one point, it's important to find that point first. So I'm going to use this diagonal line here to find the vanishing point. Let me just place my pencil here, and you can see there's another diagonal line here. So the vanishing point is somewhere around here, and this vanishing point will be all the lines will be affected by this vanishing point. So you can see the shadow that is cast by this building here. That shadow, that angle there, that is very difficult to draw. So with the help of the vanishing point, you don't have to actually go and measure the vanishing point. You don't have to actually go and measure the angle. You can just draw that line going to the vanishing point, and your angle will be accurate. Now, one thing about this particular scene is this building here, the vanishing point for this building is not the same as this building. Probably because this building and this building, they don't face each other. Let me just drink some water first. Sketch by Krishnan. Yes, I am using an iPad today because it's faster to work with an iPad. I don't have to wait for the ink or watercolor to dry. Alright, so where were we? Oh, okay. So this building and this building, they have different vanishing points. So you have to find a vanishing point for this as well. It's somewhere around here, and you can see there's a diagonal line here. So the vanishing point is somewhere around here at the door here. So actually the most important vanishing point is actually the vanishing point for this line. For this part here, not as important because it's just a small area. Also, when drawing this sketch, let's say I'm seated far away from this building and I'm seated on the ground level. This line here, this baseline for the building, this baseline for the building, this is not horizontal. This is actually tilted slightly upwards, alright, because this building has a vanishing point that is right there, on the far right. And this line here, the roof line, and this line here, they will go to that same vanishing point on the far right. So when drawing this line at the baseline of this building, make sure you don't draw it horizontal. That's very important. And this line here as well. It may look like it's horizontal. It's the base of the building. It should be horizontal, but because of perspective and because of where you are seated, it is not horizontal. It's actually tilted very slightly. So, alright, let's start. So the app that I'm using is Concepts, and I am going to draw a vertical line to represent the building on the left first. I hope you guys can see the reference photo on this side. Let me just move to the side here. So I'm going to draw a vertical line to represent this line here on the left side, and this point here at the midpoint here. At the midpoint here, this is where the orange building will start. And that line is not horizontal, it's tilted slightly downwards. And when you're drawing, try to visualize that rectangle. Oops, never mind, I shall just let it be like this. It sort of comes down and then swerves up. And the baseline, remember, it's not horizontal, it tilts slightly from a low point to a high point. So I'm going to draw this tilted slightly upwards. That line, this gradient here, it's very gentle. So you have to get this, get the angles right, just to have a convincing perspective. So this rectangle here, this is the orange building, and then we have the roof that is about, say, maybe a bit taller. This is about 1/3 of this height. So when I am drawing, I am always constantly comparing. And this will come down to the side here. Oops, I drew this too long. So to prevent, let me just undo everything because I drew the angle off. So this angle here is going to tilt as well. Tilt down here, okay. Looks like the palm rejection is not working very well today. Right, we have one line that goes up, and then I'm going to draw this building on the right side. Now this area here, this is the roof, so it's going to be, this line is going to go up like this. Like this, and this building, as I would say, if I were to measure, let me show you how to measure. So if I were to measure this building here using my pencil, you can use your pen or pencil. I place my thumb here, and this is the edge here. So this building is 1 unit. And when I place it here, I can see that this building here, it's about half of this. This building here has half the width of this, and this lighted area here that's in sunlight, it's about 3 out of 5 parts compared to this. So when I draw, I need to make sure that this is 1 unit and this is half a unit. So I just place a dot there just to make it easier for me. And I can draw this line here, tilting upwards. And is it too far? Nope, it's definitely too far. Stops here, comes down here, and comes down here. Now this line will come down here because the surface of the wall changes, and then this line will go up slightly because of perspective. So this line and this line, they share the same vanishing point, which is somewhere on the right side, and this will go up again and come down again like this. So the width of this is the same as the width of this. And the width of this is the same as the width of this. Okay, so here I see some problem. Earlier on I placed a dot to tell me that I shouldn't go beyond this dot, but here it seems like I've gone beyond. Anyway, this is a slight measurement problem. Okay, so let's continue to draw the roof. This line will go up here halfway and then turns. And this line is very tricky. As in, let me just put this back. From what I can see, it's like it's tilted to the right side. So I need to draw it tilted slightly to the right side, like this. And then I can connect the roof. And based on the photograph, it seems like this is actually a bit difficult for me to see. I think it looks like this. Okay, and then we can connect, and this line will come down to connect here. And we have this part for this tower here. So this tower, let's see what's the height of this tower. So if we take this point here as the halfway point, and this is 1 unit, this is halfway, so the height of this tower will be about this point here. So you can draw that tilted line there and just join like this. And then we can draw a little bit more, and this tower, again, the base of this tower-like structure here, this is the base, this is the halfway point, and this is the top. It's a bit higher up, so I can just draw it like this. And this part here has several faces, so let me just draw it like that. Oh, it's actually thinner than I see, so I made another error. Let me just erase it here. So that's a good thing about digital drawing. If I make mistakes, I can actually go and erase it. But if you're drawing with pen and ink, it's good to be more careful. Otherwise, if you make mistakes, you won't be able to erase. So now you can see this side here, this structure, it's done. The most important thing about this area here is you must get the angles of the lines right. So they must look convincing. Okay, so now let's draw this. Oops, let me just change back to this pen here. We will add the details later on. For those viewers who have just joined in, I am doing a live tutorial today on my iPad Pro, a digital sketch. If you want to follow along with this tutorial, you can download the reference photo in the video description below. So let's draw the building on the left side. And this building, let's place the vanishing point here first. It's somewhere below this. The vanishing point is somewhere below this. Usually if I'm using a sketchbook, I may actually place that dot with a pencil so that the vanishing point is not that obvious. And after I paint with watercolor, that dot will just disappear. So for this building on the left side, the angle of the roof here, this is a very steep angle. So if I were to draw on location, I would have to basically make sure, if I draw from observation, I have to measure the angle correctly. But because I already found the vanishing point for that angle, I just have to basically draw that line towards the vanishing point like this. Alright. In real life, this angle is quite difficult to get correctly unless you're really good at measuring the angle. So I'm just using a shortcut here to draw that angle, drawing towards the vanishing point. In fact, I need to check to see if I got the angle right or not. Okay, it seems like my angle is a bit off. You see this vanishing point, it's towards the left side. So even when I have the vanishing point, I still made that mistake. So let me just undo. So let me try again. Let me just do this sweeping action to make sure that I get it right this time. Nope. Alright. Okay, I think this time I got it right. So that's how helpful that vanishing point is. And that vanishing point will also help me draw this line, the baseline of this building on the left side. And I can just draw like this. See, I'm doing this sweeping action to make sure that this line will be like this. Let's check. Right, it looks kind of similar. Okay, let me just erase here. If you're using a sketchbook, you can just use pencil to draft out all these important lines first before you ink. Okay, let's see. Maybe I want to draw this line a bit longer. Unfortunately, I'm not able to place my phone on the iPad because, oh, I can place my phone on the iPad. Right, maybe this is better for you guys. Okay, so for the steps here, you see, there are some steps here. The corner of this step right here, that corner there, it's just below this point here. So, and this line will also go to the vanishing point. There are 3 steps, so let me just draw the thickness. 1, 2, and maybe it's a bit too thick, 3. Alright, all these lines, they will have to go to the vanishing point, and I can draw the steps like this. This looks a bit too wide, so maybe I need to erase this part here. This is too much. I drew the lines too long basically. So let me make the lines shorter. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section. So this sketch or this particular scene, it's mostly a one-point perspective scene. Oh, and I just realized that this line, oops, see this line here? This step should be like this. Yeah, like this. Let me just erase it. It should look like this, because the steps is higher compared to the baseline of the building. So let me just do some correction there. So this is the thickness of the steps. And also when drawing, I'm not sure if you can see, so see this point, see the steps here? This is to the right side of this is to the right side of this. So here I have to make sure that it comes out like this. And this is to the left side, so maybe like this. Made a lot of mistakes here. So when I am drawing, I am more careful, but when I'm using digital, somehow when you know that you can undo very easily, you tend to be a bit less careful, a bit more careless. Okay, anyway, let's try to be more careful. Okay, and here the lines connect, and this baseline here will actually continue all the way here, so something like that. Okay, so now we have this building here. Now for the windows, they are also in perspective, so I need to draw this line first. Why does this tool keep changing into the selection tool? All right, there's this diagonal line that's right here that cuts about 1/3 beneath the building. So we have a door here. This door is also affected by the 1-point perspective. And when we draw, I'm not sure if you guys can hear some vacuuming sound. All right, anyway, this door is like this, and you should be able to see this, the thickness of this door. Thickness of this door. So this part here will be black just to make it faster for me to color. So someone asked me, how do I determine the vanishing point for this sketch? So earlier on in the video, I showed you guys. Basically, just try and converge all the diagonal lines to a point, and that will be the vanishing point. And different buildings may share different vanishing point, or they may share the same vanishing point. So you have to find the vanishing point for each building. Let me Hello everyone, I should be back soon. Seems like it's still Alright, I am back. Am I back? Am I back? Alright, I am back. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so where was I? Vanishing point. So each building will have its own vanishing point. They may share the same vanishing point. They may not share the same vanishing point depending on how the buildings are arranged. But for scenes like this where you see very obvious diagonal lines, it's very helpful to find the vanishing point first. Okay, so earlier on that video out signal was because my camera ran out of battery. Alright, so for the windows here, let's try and find some tricks to draw those windows in perspective. So you can see there are lines below the windows, and there is this window here. So when I'm drawing, I'm always comparing the lines. So there's these two windows here. I'm drawing the base of the window because it's easy to draw. It's just a straight line, and there is another window here that goes down, that points down. This line points down to this line here. And then there's another one here, another one here. And do note that when you draw lines like this, when they go further away from you, those lines are going to be proportionally much smaller. So lines that are closer to you are going to look much bigger, but lines that are further away, they are going to look much smaller. So I'm going to draw the base of the windows first. So this is the second floor. There are 3 floors here. So this is the third floor. Make sure that the base of the windows, that line points to the vanishing point. And this is the, well, let me just use my finger here like this, so that it's easier. So sometimes I like to place my hand on the paper to sort of help me get the angles right. Because these angles, they are very steep, so it's very challenging to get those angles right. And also make sure that the left and right point of those angles, they line up vertically. So the right edge should stop here, and it goes up. All the lines should stop there. The edge of that line, the edge of those lines should stop there. And this is another one. Oh, this is quite challenging. So I have to draw here and point it down like this. Okay, so this is what we have so far. And we can draw the windows. The top of the window, it's like this. The top of this point here, see this line, it's also affected by that vanishing point. And this window has a thickness. Let me just zoom in. It's quite thick. So this is the thickness. Oh, there is actually a space here. So let me just draw this. So every time I make an error, the error really comes down to not being observant itself. It's not the drawing that's problematic. It's actually observing, making the wrong observation that's problematic. If you see things wrongly, or if you don't see things correctly, you are just going to draw the thing wrongly. Oops, let me erase this part. It shouldn't, this line here, it shouldn't curve up. It should curve down straight away like this. And here as well. And there is a window. Now for this particular sketch, I'm just going to color this black like this. And for the window, when I'm using pen and paper, I may also do the same. So for the window frames, I can just draw like this. So I have white, usually it's white gel pen. And the windows, these lines here, make sure they go to the vanishing point. If you make a slight error in the angle, for example, the angles for these two lines, they are definitely wrong, right? They are wrong because if you look at the whole sketch like this, you can tell that that angle, even though it's a very slight mistake, you will be able to spot it straight away, and it's going to feel a bit weird. But this line here, the angles for this 1, 2, and 3, they are wrong, but for this it's correct. So now for all the other windows, you can just draw. Yeah, just continue to draw. Make sure that the top follows the perspective. This, and remember, as the window goes further and further into the background, they are going to be much smaller. Same as well here. I may actually have to erase some lines because the spacing between the windows is important, is as important compared to the area of the window, the area that's taken up by the window. One good way to practice drawing sketches like this is to just don't focus on the details, just draw the general shapes first. Just play around with drawing the general shapes to practice your observation skills, see whether or not you can get those diagonals right, and then add in the details later on. This iPad is the 12.9-inch iPad, and this app that I'm using, this is Concepts. Okay, so for all the other windows, I'm not going to draw all the other windows. I'm just going to maybe just draw like a few windows. So this area here, this looks like a walkway, so I can color it in black. There is a window here on the right side. Okay, this walkway, I need to correct this walkway again because I did not draw this accurately enough. This is supposed to be much taller, like this. Oops, wrong again. The semicircle starts here and goes down like this. So this is much taller. And there is a window here on the side, which I'm just going to draw one of this, make it black, and I'm going to change this to white. If I'm using actual pen and ink, I will probably be painting this with watercolor, the black with watercolor, and drawing the window frames with white gel pen. So I'm just going to draw one window there. And you can repeat all the other windows, as well as the windows here. Okay, so I think the main building is done. I just need to draw some details that I have left out. Okay, let's just draw these windows very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you are looking at a building with a lot of windows, there's no need to count all those windows. You just need to sort of draw the number of windows you should draw should be just a suggestion. You don't have to draw like every window. Just make sure that you get the size of those windows right. That's actually more important. I think there are 12 if I count correctly. Right, anyway, I will draw and color them later on. Right, so far, do you guys have any questions? Let me know in the comment section while I go drink some water. Or let me just scroll back to see if there are any questions from earlier. So just now was my wife, she was actually vacuuming. She didn't know I was recording here. My wife didn't know that I was recording in the room, and today Tiffany is not around. She is at her grandmother's place having fun. Her grandparents bought her a lot of toys, so she's having a lot of fun there. Okay, so let's continue. I'm going to draw this thing here, the background, with thinner lines. So things that are in the background, they are smaller, so when it comes to drawing them with lines, the lines will also be smaller. Sometimes it may be possible to draw with smaller lines, sometimes it may not be possible to draw with smaller lines. It depends on the tool that you are using. If I'm using ballpoint pen, then there will be, it's going to be very difficult for me to draw with thinner lines, because ballpoint pens, they have uniform thickness. Okay, so for this part here, the line goes up and then tilts up, seems to stop around here, and then comes down like this. Anyway, for the background, you don't have to be so specific. It's a bit difficult for me to draw the background here because the Google Street View, it's not, that photo or that screenshot that I have here is not the best. But the thing is, make sure you get the shapes of those buildings right. You don't have to draw like a lot of details. The only thing that should have details are the elements that are in the foreground that are close to you. How much do you choose to include in the background? So I will try to draw the big shapes first. So for example, when I'm drawing the buildings in the background, I just draw the shapes that contribute to the form of the building. I do not draw the windows because the windows do not contribute to the form of the buildings. The windows are actually on the side, on the surface of the building. So I just draw the form. And later on, I may choose to draw those windows, or I may not draw those windows because the windows are not important because the buildings are already there. And I can draw some trees here. Yeah. So for this background here, I'm just going to use thin lines to just maybe draw the general shape. Oh, there is a van that's parked there. Can you see that van? It's there. I want to draw it. By right, I should be drawing that van here because it overlays the building. But since we are drawing, we can make adjustments as and when we need to make adjustments. Just make sure that the perspective of the van, it's right. Does it matter if beginners use cheap paper? This is a question from Voice of Reason. The paper that you use will depend on the media that you use. If you're just using pencil and ink, you can use cheap paper. If you're using watercolors, then it's best to buy quality paper, because watercolor paper, a lot of watercolor effects depend on the quality of the watercolor paper. So basically the cheap paper is good if you are just using pencil and ink. Okay, so this is the van. Let me just add some shadows here. Make it darker. Okay, did I draw the van too big? I guess it's alright. It looks a bit big. Let's draw the car. Oops, it's a bit wobbly. You can see this car, a bit wobbly. The wheels here, right? Looks alright. Okay, so this sketch, let me just take a look and see where are areas where I need to add more details. So there are some pots. You can just, now that you have the steps, you can place the pots where you need them, or you can choose not to draw those points as well. Okay, there are some windows here. So the windows here, the base is affected by the vanishing point. So you want to draw 1, 2, and 3. Oh, there seems to be a line that cuts down here. And there is a window, sorry, there's another window here. So sometimes when I'm drawing, I may leave out by accident important elements, like this line that cuts down here. This is quite a thick line. When you're drawing, you're supposed to be in the zone so that you can really concentrate. I am drawing and talking at the same time, so that distracts me slightly. Okay, no chefs here asked me which country am I from. He actually wrote in Chinese. I'm from Singapore. I speak Mandarin and English. Right, so now it's time to color this. So you see the basic form of the buildings, it's already there. So now let's color it. So the strong sunlight is coming from the left to the right, and it comes down at an angle. So the thing that I want to color first is the building. So let me just choose an appropriate brush. For this particular app, there is no fill bucket tool, so I have to actually redraw the shapes. Let me just try this color first. Alright, this color looks fine. Actually, you can use any color. I'm not trying to match the photo, so I'm just using the color to represent the shadows. So when you're working with watercolor, the concept is sort of similar. You want to paint this shape with a single wash so that it looks like one continuous shape. Let me draw this angle, make it a bit more obvious. So you see how the light comes down at an angle. I'm going to leave this part of the building white. There's actually a color there, but I'm going to leave it white. Okay, arrow there. This one comes down. Okay, color this. So once you add light and shadow onto your drawing, immediately comes a line. Oh, you can, who's that? Namani asked me, why don't I use straight lines when drawing freehand lines? Well, you can do it. I mean, with software, you can actually draw straight lines perfectly. Let me show you how with this app. This app is Concepts, and to draw straight lines perfectly, I just have to change this particular attribute here to make it 100%, and now I can draw straight lines perfectly. But I didn't want to do that because sometimes I want straight lines, sometimes I want the lines to be a bit more fluid. I don't want to waste the time to go back and change from straight to fluid lines all the time. So by drawing like this, with all these fluid lines, I can save a lot of time. Okay, so let's color the base here. Okay, the shadow for the building. So now you see this, after adding the colors, comes to life straight away. So for the shadows, I'm going to choose a color, maybe a neutral 5. That means a mid gray. Oops. And choose again. I'm still trying to get a hang of this software. I started using this software maybe 1 month ago. Without the fill bucket tool, sometimes it's a bit challenging for me. Okay, so let's try and get this shadow angle right. The height of the building is here. So remember this, there's this line here. This line is actually the roof line. So the shadow is cast by this building, and this line here will follow the roof line. And this shadow line follows the same vanishing point as the roof line, which is somewhere around here. So when I'm drawing, I need to make sure that the shadow line points to the vanishing point like that. And there is a bit of light here. If you take a look at the screenshot, there is a bit of light here. Actually, there are other details here, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. I am going to color this part here just to make it, just to make the coloring better. Okay, let me just cover this part here properly. Oh, and this part here. For the shadow areas here, I can choose a darker color. So I'm just going to like draw really fast just to get those shadows in very quickly. And I can also draw another window here like this, and basically just to suggest another window here. And I can add black. So this is just basically two shapes to represent a very detailed window like that. And for these windows here, let's use black as well. So this is a very quick way to color. And later on I can just add the white lines. Let me add the white lines now to draw the window frames. Okay, so I can just do this for all the windows. The windows are not as important compared to the bigger shapes, so let me go back and color the roof now. So the roof, I'm going to have it, I'm using the color system that's used by this software Concepts. This color system is based on the Copic color system. So I'm choosing this gray marker from the Copic and just draw this shape here. And here as well. Oops. I need to draw a few times because you see this part is not colored properly. And let me take a look at the spiral. Okay, so if you take a look at the reference photo, the light is coming from the left side. So this roof here, it should be lighter. How much lighter? You can choose, I mean, if you're drawing digitally, you can just choose a color that is noticeably lighter. If you're painting with watercolor, it's the same concept. I mean, when painting light and dark, it's always a relative thing. Okay, so now it looks like this. And for the buildings in the background, I'm just going to keep it simple so that for the surfaces that face the light, they will be lighter, or surfaces that do not face the light, they will be darker. And I'm just using gray just to keep it simple. Just to keep this sketch as simple as possible. Maybe a warm color. With digital, you can do a lot of quick sketch to test out the ideas. That's what I like about digital. But compared to sketchbooks, I still prefer drawing on sketchbooks because I mean, you have a tactile art that you can look at. Whereas when it comes to drawing digital, sometimes I don't refer to my digital art as much. Alright, so let's paint the background now. I'm going to paint this with one light, sorry about that, one light color, maybe a warm marker here, just to draw this whole shape like this. Okay, I think this color works. And I'm going to I'm going to paint with the green. Let's choose a green that is not so striking. Okay. I'm going to pay attention to the shapes that the greens are covering. Okay. Basically just drawing shapes here and there. It's a very stylized, this sketch is a very stylized version of the actual thing. And for the trees here, I can actually draw the trees with colored lines. Yes, Sophie McClintock. It's definitely going to take much longer with actual watercolors. Here I'm just drawing. I mean, digital ink doesn't require any drawing, so you can draw really fast. You can also color really fast. So here I'm just basically just playing with the shapes. Colors this. Oops, it's not green. Let's choose a neutral. Oh no, let's choose a warm color. Okay, this looks alright. This part here is in shadow, and this part here is also in shadow, so it needs to be much darker. Okay, so this sketch is almost done. It's just this sketch is actually not a very complicated sketch, in the sense that once you can understand what's going on, like once you can understand the perspective, once you can break down the perspective, the structure of what you see, it's so much easier compared to just drawing based on observation. You can draw from observation, but if you know perspective, it's going to help a lot more, because it can actually help. Knowing perspective can help you check your work to make sure that it's more accurate. And even if you are drawing really wonky lines like this, as long as the general perspective of all those lines, as long as you get the proportions right, all these little wonky lines, they are not going to affect the overall sketch in terms of how recognizable that sketch will be. People who look at your sketch, they will still be able to tell what you are drawing, what building you are drawing. Okay, so this is the tedious part. If I am using watercolor, this part will be drawn with the white gel pen. Oh, there is this construction crane that's going on in the background. I want to draw that with this yellow color. So, oops, it's here. Comes down like this at an angle. This is a little bit of color just to make things look a bit more interesting. And lastly, the sky. Okay, for the sky, let me use a pastel brush. Where is the pastel brush? Okay, let's choose a sky color for the sky. Maybe this color. I'm not sure if you can see this color. Okay, for this particular, for the sky, I need to create a new layer and put it all the way to the bottom so that the sky appears beneath the sketch. And I want to have this guy blend into other colors. It's painting the sky is actually much easier with watercolor compared to drawing digitally. At least with this software, there doesn't seem to be a way for me to blend the sky smoothly. Or maybe there is, but I haven't figured it out yet. Nope, this doesn't work. So let me just test different colors. Okay, this one looks alright. Alright, so yeah. So this is the completed sketch. Let me see what questions do you guys have. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below or on the site, wherever that chat box is. Voice of Reason asks if I do critics for patron sketches. Yes, if they send me their sketches, I can do critics. Basically point out the areas that they should look out for, like point out certain mistakes, areas where they can improve. Sometimes when you're drawing, you may make a mistake. If you realize that it's a mistake, at least you know that you can correct that mistake. But if you don't know that you make a mistake, then it's very difficult to improve because you don't know that it's a mistake in the first place. Let me just continue to add some colors. This part here where I have forgotten to color. Okay, I can add some extra texture as well. Let me see, I'm going to add some splatter marks. I like splatter marks. They create a lot of texture. With watercolor, I can run the brush against a hard surface to create those splatter marks. But here, I actually need to use this brush. And for splatter marks, try to create splatter marks that are bigger. Make the splatters bigger for splatters that are close to you, and for areas in the background where it's far away, make sure the splatter marks are smaller because, perspective. And some of these splatter marks, they add a lot of texture, very nice texture, to make this sketch look less digital. This sketch, you can see the sharp lines, the very stylized look. It's very digital, but adding some splatter marks actually make the sketch look a bit more digital. Oops, why did that? This is not the color that I want. Yep, so adding some splatter marks make the sketch look more textural. Right. Okay, so this is the completed sketch. For those who have just joined in this live stream is going to be recorded and posted onto YouTube later on. So if you want to watch this and learn to sketch this scene, you can do so by watching this live stream. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Let me see if there are any other questions. This question is by DuPT. When you usually draw, do you draw as fast as this or do you use more time? I actually would draw a bit slower. Today I'm drawing quite fast because the sun is setting. It's 5 p.m. right now, so the sun is setting very fast and I'm losing light very quickly. So I just want to do like a very quick sketch. But the thing is, even if you sketch, even if you do not have a lot of time to sketch, you can still do a good sketch as long as you put in the right lines. As long as you put the lines at the right position, you use the correct lines. So for example, with this particular sketch, in fact, let me show you the less detailed version of this sketch. So as long as you put in the most important lines, your sketch is going to look recognizable. So this sketch can probably be done, the ink sketch itself can probably be done within 5 minutes. Adding colors, like adding real colors, that is going to take up a lot more time. But for digital colors like this, it's going to take less than 5 minutes. So for a sketch like this, it's going to take me just about 10 minutes. But if I'm drawing with actual pen and ink with watercolor, it's going to take maybe twice as much time, because I have to wait for, I have to mix the colors and I have to paint the colors and wait for the colors to dry. So that's going to take more time. Some people are asking, let's see, do you just focus on urban landscapes or do you go into natural landscapes as well? Most of the time, most of my sketches are actually urban scenes, because here in Singapore there are not a lot of landscapes. And I like to draw urban scenes because I find it really fun to be able to draw the lines and then watch the building come to life, as in become physical, has a physical form. I find that to be more interesting compared to drawing landscapes. And this software is called Concepts. It's free to use, however, to unlock all the brushes you have to pay. I cannot remember how much it is, but it's definitely worth paying because they have some really nice brushes. And this app, it's a vector app, so you can zoom in like really close, and the resolution will still be very sharp. And because this is a vector app, you can actually draw like really small and draw a lot of stuff. It features an infinite canvas, so you can actually draw forever and ever. So it's really worth the money, and this is one of my favorite apps right now, together with this is Concepts. This is one of my favorite apps right now, together with Procreate. So Procreate is a raster app. It has a fixed resolution, but for Concepts, it doesn't have a fixed resolution. You can zoom in and out, and the resolution there's no resolution basically. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I think it has been an hour. And these are some of my sketches that I drew in Concepts recently. Right, see you guys in the next live stream. And since you guys are watching until the end of this live stream, I will be doing a giveaway contest very soon, because I am reaching 200k subscribers, and I will announce the giveaway sometime maybe next week or 2 weeks later. And the criteria for entering that giveaway contest is basically you need to post a comment on any of my past videos. So if you are watching that giveaway video on the day that it's out and you post a comment, you are not going to be eligible for that contest. You need to post a comment on one of my past videos. So for people who have been following me for years, chances are you have posted comments somewhere in the past, so most likely you are going to be eligible and you can win some pretty good prizes. I have some fountain pens to give away and some cases, pen wraps and things like that. Alright, bye! Okay, where is the stop streaming button?